to The Writer's Dream. I'm Linda Maria Frank, the author of Annie Tillery Mysteries and the host of the show. The Writer's Dream is a show where authors have a platform where they can talk about how they write their books, how they publish their books, and how they market their books. We air on Cablevision. Please consult the Cablevision Channel 20 program guide to find out when in your area you can see us. We also are aired from here in Wainscott from the LTV studios. Please, again, go on their website, ltveh.org, to see what their program guide is, to see our show. If you are a published author, you will see my email scroll across the screen every once in a while, and if you're interested in doing the show, certainly contact me. We also have a Facebook page called The Writer's Dream, and we are on YouTube, and the name of the channel is, guess what? The Writer's Dream. Today's guest is Sharyne Wolfe, and she is the author of The Fashionista Shopping Guide to the Galaxy of Discount New York Fashion. And we are all excited to have you, Sharyne, and everyone in the studio is taking notes. So welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us about the book.
I wrote the book to give tips to women who want to be really fashionable but don't have the bank account, credit card limit, or trust fund to support it.
Trust fund.
Well, some women
That's
are
an
trust
interesting
fund.
concept.
Some of them are trust fund babies, and they can just go shop at Bergdorf's. But the tips I put in there allow you to look like you got off the catwalk for a fraction of the cost of what it will cost you in a department store.
This must have been quite an adventure, writing this book.
It was a lot of fun. The reason I wrote it is because I teach fashion design at Nassau Community College, and one afternoon I was pushing one of the dress forms off to the side to clean up the room, and they're on wheels, and the wheels jammed. And I pushed, and the form didn't move, and I went to brace myself. I fell on my derriere, and I broke my wrist when I braced myself, and I was in a cast for 8 weeks. I drive a stick shift car, and I couldn't drive. And my husband's car is a stick shift, so I couldn't even borrow his. So in order to satisfy my shopping need, I said, you know, I've always wanted to do this, and I got down to the computer, and I said, I'm just going to write about the places that I shop at. And the original guide that I did 3 years ago was typed with my left hand.
Oh, that's funny, because you broke your...
Because I broke my right wrist. I'm left-handed, though, so that was a good thing.
Yeah, it definitely was. Now, what do you teach in a fashion course?
I was one of the authors of the fashion design program at Nassau. I had gone to FIT, so what I did was I copied their program because it was wonderful. And I added an internship at the end because FIT didn't have one, so all of our students do internships. So they learn how to make patterns on a dress form, how to do them flat, how to sketch, how to use computer art to show their designs off. And the last thing they do is an internship in the city, and I have 13 on the internship now. And 30% of them get hired.
Oh, that's great. So they're actually designing clothes.
Yes.
Oh, that is exciting.
Yeah, it's fun.
Because I used to make all my own clothes.
Oh, wow.
And my favorite was the Vogue pattern book.
Yeah. Oh, those were tough patterns.
Yes, the designer patterns.
Yeah.
And I wished I had saved some of the things that I made, because my grandmother actually she was from Poland, and they came from a fairly well-off family, so she was sent to a couturier school in Warsaw.
Wow.
So when she came to this country, my grandfather, of course, had to scramble around for jobs because he was actually in Poland. He was a manager on a farm. So coming to Queens, that was, he had to scramble around. But all she had to do was get the word out through a few ladies that she made clothes. They just had to bring her a picture from a newspaper, and she could recreate that.
That's great.
So fashion has been in my family. My cousin went to FIT, so very, very interested in all of that, especially the making of it.
Well, my grandfather was a sample hand on 7th Avenue, and my other grandfather was a milliner. And that's where I get my love of hats, because he used to make me hats as a kid.
Well, I remember when I was a kid, you could actually go down 34th Street, and there would be one hat shop after another, and that was the thing women did. Women wore hats.
Yeah.
And you went in and you tried on all of these wonderful hats. Now the hat stores are few and far between, and they're a fortune.
Yes. Yes.
My favorite one is on 73rd Street and Columbus Avenue. It's a wonderful hat store.
Oh,
up there.
that's good to know.
You have to go visit. I have never bought anything there. I just look because it's so expensive.
Well, I do have a chapter on hats in my book, and I remember it was 37th or 38th Street. You used to walk between 6th and 5th Avenue, and on both sides of the street were hat shops that were discounters. And I think I found 2 or 3. There's one guy and I can't remember the name of the shop offhand, but there's one guy that's been in business since 1947. And he's only open 4 days a week, and you can go in and you can put your own hats together, which is really nice. So there are 2 shops that I was able to discover that you can buy discount hats at.
Now, tell me about the book. Tell me about the makeup of the book and what you cover in the book.
I cover clothing, discounters, thrift shops, consignment shops, trying to think what else, accessories, so jewelry, hats, bags, shoes. The chapter on jewelry is wonderful because there are things in there that you would see in Bloomingdale's that would be 10 times the price. In fact, this is one of the stores that I have listed in the book. It's 2 different pieces, actually, and the 2 of these were $15.
Wow. Yes, in fact, you were telling us before the show how much your entire outfit cost. Would you like to stand up and
Sure.
model your wonderful outfit? I think a
Little twirl?
little closer to me. And look at those shoes. I just absolutely love those shoes.
Well, the shoes were $2.
Okay, so tell us, go
Okay.
hat to shoes and
The
tell us.
shoes were $2. The skirt I got at a blowout sale for a consignment shop, and this was $5, and it's Calypso, and Calypso is sold in East Hampton for like hundreds of dollars. The top I got at a church sale for $2, and the jacket, I think was $3, and the bracelets, this one was, I think, $3, and this might have been $10.
What about your hat?
The hat, this I got in Ecuador. And I don't remember what I paid for it.
Because it was in Ecuador.
It was in Ecuador, yeah. I got it
money.
years ago in Ecuador. I think it was around $10, but I'm not exactly sure, so I didn't add it.
And you
But
have
the
an
whole-
interesting hat pin in there.
Actually, my mother made this hat pin. She took should I turn around so they can see
Yeah,
it?
look at that.
My mother took a bead and she got a stalk pin and she just slipped it on and put on a little, it's called a clutch here to hold it. And she made me a bunch of these with antique beads on it. Because I also used to sell antique jewelry.
All right, so tell me, what's the difference between a consignment shop and a vintage shop?
A consignment shop, you would bring your clothing, your current clothing in, and they would say, okay, we'll take it or we don't take it. And some of them are very, very picky. And
Is this clothing that you have from your closets? Or clothing
yes,
that...
clothing you have from
It's
closet.
used clothing?
It's used clothing.
Okay.
But most of it is in really, really good shape. There's a woman in Sag Harbor, and Corner Closet, I think it's called, and she
Yeah.
has a very good consignment shop. Her stuff is like pristine, and most of the ones that I've listed, all of the ones I've listed in the book, only take like really good quality, really current. And they will sell it, and you will get between 40 and 50% of the sale price. There's a place in Brooklyn called Beacon's Closet. There's one in Manhattan. There's 2 in Manhattan, I think. But I've been to the one in Brooklyn, the one in Manhattan. And they will give you cash on the spot. They'll go through whatever you have. They'll give you cash on the spot for it, which is nice. With a consignment shop, you have to wait till it sells.
Right.
A thrift store is, people would usually donate the stuff. And whatever they got for it would go towards a charity of some sort or
Right.
other.
Like a lot of churches have
Yeah.
thrift
So it would go to the
shops.
church, or it would go for, I can't remember the other ones that I've listed in there, but I think Housing Works in the city is another one.
Yeah, I think they also have one for American Cancer Foundation.
Yes, they have a very good thrift shop, but their prices are like consignment shops. They're not cheap.
Yeah, yeah, but you're getting probably
You're getting
really
very
good
good
quality.
stuff. Yeah,
For
the one in
instance,
the
if
city.
somebody cleans out, Raquel Welch's closet
Right.
or Jennifer Aniston's closet,
That's where
I'm
they,
sure
yeah.
that whatever she had in there was very, very expensive, and you're getting a good buy. So
Yes.
if you're into, I guess, wearing labels,
Right.
that would be. I never got into labels. I didn't really care. I just liked, if I liked it, I liked it. I didn't care where
I'm
it
pretty
came
much like that, too. I like something a little funkier, a little different, something that has more personality to it. And what I've listed also in the book is I haven't just listed the high-end places. I've listed The pricing runs the gamut from where you can get a cute little dress for $15 to where if you want a Chanel jacket that would cost thousands in the store, you can get it for $750.
Yeah.
Which is a bargain.
Yeah.
But I didn't just focus on one area. It's classic clothing to funky clothing, 20-somethings to women of a certain age. So whatever your outlook is in fashion, it covers it. It's not just geared to one group.
Tell me about vintage clothing.
I just added in this edition a chapter on vintage because I love vintage.
And also, it's very popular.
It's very
now,
popular.
especially amongst, the younger generation.
And the thing with vintage is you won't see yourself coming and going in it.
That's for sure.
So even if you're buying like a Louis Vuitton bag, you can see hundreds of other women with it. You go in and buy a vintage bag. Nobody else will have the same bag as you, which is really making something special. You're going to have something special. So when I researched the vintage shops, I found that a lot of them were considering 1980s vintage, which is not vintage to me.
No.
But you know what? If it might be
yesterday.
vintage to a 20-year-old, which is fine. So I added those in as well. And a lot of shops call themselves vintage, and they are not. So I went and I checked out every shop I put in, and I was very picky about who I put in, and they should have real vintage stuff, not just.
Well, how old would you consider?
They consider 80s vintage now.
Yeah, but I mean, how far back, how old have you found in vintage stores? In other words, what I'm trying to think of is if I had something from the 1890s, I wouldn't be putting it in a vintage shop. I would be either donating it to a museum or. So when you've been doing this research and you go to a vintage store, what's the oldest thing you found? There you go.
Probably the 20s and maybe one item. There were a couple from the 40s.
I love 40s clothes.
I do too.
Oh.
And I have stuff from, I'm trying to think how far back the things I have, from probably the 1890s. I have jackets with the leg of mutton sleeves. I have these gorgeous tea dresses, these white tea dresses they wore in the early 1900s. And you have to be careful when you're wearing vintage, because you don't want to look like you pulled down the curtains like in Gone with the Wind and made a dress.
Miss Ellen's potier.
Right. You want to look like it works. So that dress that I have from the early 1900s, that tea dress, and I talk about it in the book, and I love it. It's really not something you can wear easily, but I have a blouse of the same era, and I can wear that with a pair of jeans. So you have to kind of put it together so it doesn't look like you're wearing a costume.
Well, that's true. That's true. Although some people, I've had people on the show who are aiming for that. They want to look like, and what they put together is really interesting, but they want to look like they have a costume on.
Oh, okay, well.
Now, I have an interesting question. It's interesting to me, not that I'm going to do this, but if somebody came to you and said, I want to do a wedding. I have the mother of the bride, the mother of the groom, me, and I have like maybe 3 attendants, and I want to do it really cheaply. What would you advise them to do?
Okay, I have a chapter on bridal in there too. So it tells you where to go for the best deals on bridal. There's and I can't remember the name of it again, there's a place in the city that gets donations of bridal gowns.
Ah, yes.
Can you remember the name of that?
No, but
It's in the 20s. I can't remember the name of that.
but it's one of the famous places, and they did a story on television on how they take these bridal gowns, and so you can, have a bridal gown that's affordable.
Yeah, and they're wonderful. When my niece was getting married, we went up there and we looked at the gowns, and they're absolutely gorgeous. You have to make an appointment, and the money, I think, goes for education. It's a charity that gets all the money. A lot of the thrift shops have bridal gowns, and there's one on Madison Avenue whose prices, I think, are a little bit on the high side. They're wedding
Madison
gowns,
Avenue.
but their wedding gowns aren't. The wedding gowns were like $800 to $1,500 for like Saleh and Lullier and some of the better known designers, and that you can try the thrift shops. For bridal jewelry and stuff, there's places in the Garment District that you can go for the tiaras and the bridal jewelry. Most of them sell the bridal shoes. The consignment shop will, and this other place in the 20s will also will sell it as well.
I actually have been cleaning out my basement lately, and I've been bringing things to Goodwill. There's a Goodwill in my neighborhood, and there were bridal gowns in there.
Yes.
So I imagine those are also very affordable.
I had a student that was getting married, and she went into the local thrift store right near the college, and she picked up this gorgeous wedding gown for $150.
Wow. Wow. So ladies out there, just get out there and get your wedding gowns into those stores
Yeah.
so that someone can share.
Yeah, because you don't wear them again.
No. Well,
Hopefully you don't wear them again. Mine's still in a box in the basement.
yeah, I suppose if it would strike me as bad luck to wear it again. You know.
I think you want something new anyway.
Yeah, well, you want a new husband, so I
Yes,
guess
right.
you
You
want
wanna start fresh.
gown. What was your favorite part of doing this?
One of the fun parts was coming up with the chapter names. And I have quotes in front of each chapter about fashion from like Chanel or Gianni Versace, and I went and researched all of the fashion quotes, which was a lot of fun. But the chapter names I had so much fun with. There's a chapter on Canal Street, and the subtitle is Fee Fi Fo Fum, I Spy a Bag by Louis Vuitton. And the estate sale chapter was, they couldn't take it with them, but you can.
Ooh. So, estate sales, I suppose where do you find estate sales? Online?
Yes, Craigslist. There's something called Treasure Map Yard Sales, I believe it's called. And you can click on that, and you can click on an area, and it'll give you all the yard sales in the area.
That must be so much fun, though.
That's fun.
To
It's
go
like
to
a treasure hunt all the time.
To
It's
go
really
to
fun.
an estate sale.
Yeah.
I know Macy's used to have a whole section in their jewelry department on estate jewelry that they
Right.
had bought. And I really like the older jewelry.
I do too.
So much more
Yeah.
than I do the new stuff. So how did you publish?
I decided to self-publish. And what I did was I researched a whole bunch of self-publishing firms, and one of the colleagues at the college had published a book on Paris, and he said he went through this company called CreateSpace.
Right.
So
That's Amazon.
that's Amazon, right. And I checked them out, and I liked the fact that CreateSpace, you could actually call them and speak to somebody, and a lot of the companies you can't.
Yeah, my company you can.
You can.
Yeah, you
I
actually you're assigned somebody.
Oh,
and, like,
that's
you're,
nice.
You know, you're almost attached at the hip during the editing process.
Oh.
So that was iUniverse. I liked iUniverse, but I've heard so many good things about CreateSpace.
They're wonderful,
too.
and they hook you immediately into Amazon. So
Oh,
as
yeah.
soon as you publish, you're
Well, so
on
does
Amazon.
iUniverse.
Oh, they do the same thing?
The only thing that's different that gave me a problem was they put me on Amazon, they put me on Barnes & Nobles, they put me in all the catalogs that the libraries and schools buy from, which was great. But I didn't, and actually they did me in an ebook format, but I really don't remember whether I just wasn't savvy enough to realize what was going on, but eventually what I did was I went on Amazon. They have this thing called Kindle Direct Publishing, where you can
That's
make
what I
your
did.
ebook
Yes.
for free, and that's fine. And then they have all of these wonderful marketing programs through Amazon, but you must be exclusive to Amazon. So by that time, I was also on Nook with Barnes & Nobles, and I had gone to a company that put me in all the formats. I was in the midst of doing digital audio, so I really couldn't do their promotions because you had to be exclusive with Amazon. I started to take myself off the other things, but every time I would do 6 or 7 of them, and then 8 more would pop up, and I said, this is ridiculous. So then I didn't